Today we're going to be making these textured landscapes. For this project you'll need either colored pencils or crayons. You'll need to write your name at the top. You could put your paper vertically like this one, or if you would rather work horizontally, that is your choice. Today you're going to be using these bags of texture plates. You can see the texture plates have this little tape on it and a piece of paper on the inside. That shows you which table these belong to. Inside you have these texture plates which have two different textures. It's kind of like a little bumpy thing on one side, and then the other side has a separate texture. There should be 5 or 6 in each bag. Remember to share these with your table. You'll need these in just a little bit, so we'll get back to those in a moment. But what you're doing is making a textured landscape like this. A landscape is a large area of land. We looked at a few different artists that use texture in their landscapes, specifically Ted Harrison, and how he uses these lines to create his landscapes. And so what I'm doing is I'm just making a bunch of contour lines. Remember, contour is a term for outline, and so what I'm doing with mine is creating just an outline. I'm going to be using large areas to kind of create the space. So this is like my road area. I can have these smaller hilly areas off to the side. These areas should be pretty big because these texture plates need a big space to work with to make it look really nice. Since this big area in the middle is so open, I'll just add some more texture onto those, and we're going to simply outline them to create this fine landscape. Since this is super plain, I'm going to add some trees. Remember, trees can be simple shapes like triangles or circles. Doing those little lines underneath gives it that feel of more of a forest with a lot of tall trees. It's simple to overlap them, and it makes it feel like that forest is super dense with trees. In the background you can just do shapes like circles, like some of those taller trees. The reason why I do a lot of shapes is your texture plates are going to cover up a lot of that space, but that created some trees further away. We might create some bigger ones in the foreground, like these 3 trees are just kind of settling here right in front. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is take my crayons or colored pencils and I'm going to outline. Outlining gives you a nice base and almost like a barrier so that you know when to switch to a new color. When we're using these texture plates, they work great by mixing 2 like colors together. So like this, what's it called here? Tumbleweed mixed with brown, or this neon green mixed with this regular size green. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to outline the entire project using a variety of colors. You could do normal landscape colors like these ones, or it could be more detailed like I did this one right here. This one has like some sort of rock wall. It's got a waterfall, 2 mountains, a cloud up there, a base of water, some hills, and I'm not totally sure what this area is underneath, but that will work out for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a crayon and one of my texture plates. This one looks like it has raindrops on it, so maybe I want to use that one in the sky. I'll use my color, and you need to do it in a large space. So watch what I do here. I'm taking my texture plate and putting the paper over the top. I'm coloring. If you color spaced out like that, the color is not going to show up, so you're going to want to color over the large area, and then it will reveal a sweet, sweet texture right underneath. I talked earlier about mixing colors. If you use a second color and keep your paper held steady, it mixes in the sky to make a secondary color. So we got like a blue-green, actually a tertiary color they would call that. But 2 colors put together can mix to make a nice background. I can even flip over my texture plate and use that same thing in a different space. Funny enough, those are snowflakes, so maybe over here I use gray and I try to color in this space so that you can see my snowflakes. As you can see with my crayon coloring, I'm trying to color close together so that my artwork looks very, very neat. That texture shows up when you're covering up the page. I'll show you a few more little spaces on these hilly mountain, I don't know what you want to call them. You might be silly to see snow falling right on top of there, but I think it's pretty cool to just be creative and use whatever texture plate is available at your table. Make sure you're sharing these. There's a lot of cool ones. This one looks kind of like fish scales. If I do that on the mountain here, I'll use some green just so you can kind of see what it looks like. There's some fish scales. I can flip it over. There's some feathers over there. I can do both of those on that same mountain. If you just put them side by side, you can do like a whole rainbow design. You can see my design right over there. It uses a lot of different colors. Like I said, there's 5 or 6 of these. When we're all done with class, I do want you to collect them, put them in a nice stack. You can see that I'm trying to face them all the same direction. And then I'm going to put those right back into my bag. That way it can be used for the next class. You can fold this over and keep that in the middle of your table. These are texture landscapes. Have fun.